Good evening. Oh, how nice it would be if my streaming recognized my game. There we go. Sometimes it just takes a sec. Is it me or is the game loud? To me it's very loud. Can't turn it down. I'll turn it down on my end then. Hello. So, it's been, let's see, 2 months, nearly, a month and a half-ish, since I last played this game. And I did the smart thing this time. Unlike previous times, I actually had a quick look up in my stream from last time what happened. We had Maya get kidnapped, and the kidnapper is trying to get us to get one actor off a murder trial-ish. They think one actor killed the other actor, and the whole point is that I have to prove the actor didn't do it. And there was some kind of love as well between the actors' manager and the other actor, which is lovely. I forgot the actors' names already. Like I said, I had a quick look, but it was a very quick look, so I am slightly less in the dark than I usually am when I restart this game. But I'm not fully yet there. Hi. So we're just gonna dive in, you know? Hope for the best. Hope we remember what happened last time. March 22, District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Oh yeah, Adrian did it. That's his manager. I remember. Let's have a look at the court records and mainly the profiles. Yeah, so they think he killed him, but we have tried to prove that she did it, and she was also having an affair with him. I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and we got her back. She went down, which means that now Miles is the prosecutor. Adrian Andrews, yes. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. Everybody is like early 20s. Except for Wendy Oldbag, who's literally called Old Bag, if I remember correctly. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia! We must get a complete acquittal today. I know. Oh yeah, Mia is in Pearl's body, not in Maya's body. That's why her hair is like that. Because we're trying to get Maya back, because Maya got abducted. But I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. Okay. Yeah, all of these people have flourishing careers at 24. It is very unbelievable. It's unrealistic, really. It's him. This is Wright. Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney, the day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, oh yeah, we were also playing Maya. Good afternoon. Maya, who was locked in some place. And then we played as her trying to get out, I think, if I remember correctly. When I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired? Don't worry, people don't die that easily. God dark. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. For my sake, as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial starts. And even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please. You forgot it was Sunday. It is Sunday. To be honest, I've also lost all feeling of days. I've been on vacation for 2 weeks, and it's just long enough to completely lose all rhythm. I have to go back to work tomorrow, and I'm already like, oh yeah, back to rhythm, back to normalcy. It doesn't feel like Sunday. Wait. The kidnapper sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer Dude, who was that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? It has nothing to do with you directly. Court is now in session for the trial of Matt and Guard. Are the prosecution and the defense ready? The defense is ready, Your Honor. Where's the prosecution? I'm trying to remember who we're going up against. Because Edgworth is back. But what's her face? Von Karma is also here. So I'm gonna guess we're going against Von Karma? I say, Mr. Wright. What happened to Miss Von Karma? There we go, okay. Not much so far. We got threatened. And then well, not threatened. Somebody said they're gonna get... The dude that got Maya said that they were gonna give us a present. So far, that's all. I was just trying to remember what happened last time. Edgy Boy is back, but not here. I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor, please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What? What? Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present. Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane. Miss Von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. Who? You're... I thought he'd show up. Oh, hello. Edgy Boy's back. Your Honor. Due to the circumstances, Miss Francisca Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready. Naturally. Why are you there then and not on the left? There we go. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt on Guard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right? I finally found the answer I was struggling for my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Oh, there's gonna be some backstory here that I have completely forgotten. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation. My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct for now. For now? After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe? The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Edgeworth theme is so corny. I know! What question were you asking, Edgeworth? Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah, it would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. Why did you leave a year ago? Bare facts of the case. Okay. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. Why? After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room? Yes, sir. Both the victim and defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Oh god, I'm already low on my health. That's good. This murder... Oh yeah, because I had to do the mental lock things, and I did one in the wrong order. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes Award, sir. Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony? Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 PM. It ended around 8 PM, and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say, the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period. Please continue with your testimony, detective. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct? Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant Matt Engard's manager. She's a really pretty lady, sir. Priorities. Oh, so she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. Engard. Everybody does not have their priorities. After visiting his room, she next went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. And that's when she found the victim's body? After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. The cause of death? Wasn't that because Mr. Corrida was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now a real pro's attention will be drawn here to this bandana. Bandana? This bandana, sir, that's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Don't be gross, Judge, I agree. Ha, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. Then what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murder on our hands here. Strangling with a scarf, then stabbed with a knife. Okay. At 1:15. Okay. At first we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. And why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. Fair. The Gemma Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but... The only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. So much for my theory then. Guitar case, updated in the court records. There is some water and only on top of the lid. Yeah. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Corrida, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So what guitar case was empty even before he... So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel? Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Yeah, the judge is asking all of the dumb questions. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt Engard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgworth's back in full swing. Very well, Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Okay, so far no discrepancies. Why arrest Engard? Matt Engard and Juan Corrida were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's a Gem and Ninja's button. It was ripped off of the ninja costume and was found in Mr. Angard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes it a premeditated murder. But we just proved that the knife wasn't the only part of the murder, so if the knife had his fingerprints, they are definitely, the knife was definitely put there to frame Angard. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, sir. My case in point. Bears the victim's blood and Angard's fingerprints in the grip. Gatewater is engraved. Why would he have brought the knife specific? Like, somebody else could have brought that knife with his fingerprints on it. Knife. And there's this button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood? Yes, and we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. Again, very easy to fake. As in, if somebody took a button and then just put it on in Angard's clothes before the murder was found. It was ripped from his costume, is covered in Corrida's blood, found in Angard's hakama. Exactly. It's like, just because it's found there, if there's no other blood on the hakama, if it's just the dry blood on the button, could that not be proof that it's basically been forged? Gem and Ninja's button added to the court record. All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? All of it is relatively circumstantial. Ooh! Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, Wright? I'll find the hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you'd like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Let's press everything! Juan and Gordita were huge rivals with each other. But in terms of popularity, Mr. Angard won, did he not? Exactly, so why would he need Juan Gordita out of the way? Yeah, but you know what's ironic, pal? Juan Gordita was always one step behind Mr. Angard in everything. So then why would Mr. Angard be stooping down? Like, punching down? This year it seemed like he'd finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown. But Mr. Corrida lost the Grand Prix in the end. That is too bad. He must have been pretty downhearted after losing. They each felt the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. Wait just 1 second here. Mr. Angard was beating Mr. Corrida in the popularity polls. Well, yeah, I guess, but... Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he had no motive to kill at all. Exactly my point. Yes, I quite agree. Well, detective, it's not, well... I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have had no motive. Detective, I'm beginning to see why you were fired. No, not you too, Mr. Edgworth, sir. I look forward to your pension negotiations. No, Gumshoe, we need you back for the next game. Now, detective, let's continue with the testimony. No, not my poor pension, too. Detective, if you value your money, I suggest you proceed. Yes, sir. We can talk about my pension later, sir. What about what I was saying? Hello? Anyone? As for evidence, there's a Gem and Ninja's button. Do you have any proof that button belonged to the victim? Not the point I was making, but okay. Huh? What do you mean, pal? Oh, let me put it this way. I'm asking you if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off of the Gem and Ninja's costume. Huh? But can't you tell by just looking at it? And the victim's blood is on it. Anyone could have smeared that blood on there afterwards. Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir. Alright, I knew it had to be this piece of evidence. Now to reel this one in. Thread. Huh? The button was attached to the costume by thread, obviously. And that thread snapped when the button was torn off. If you match up the ends of the threads on the costume with the thread on the button, it's a perfect match. Yeah, that's it. They're a perfect match, pal. That's Edgeworth for you. Never misses a beat. I want to have a look at the picture of the crime scene. Do we have a picture of the crime scene? Yeah. Yeah, he is missing a button. Okay. I just had that moment of, could it be that in the picture he does all the buttons, but okay. It was ripped off of the ninja costume and was found in Mr. Angard's hakama. When was this button found? Pretty soon after the body was found, we rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Corrida, and then we did a search on them all. That's when we found the button. So it was almost immediately after the murder. The police didn't have the free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people. Hey, what is he trying to say about me here? The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. How were the fingerprints arranged on the knife? Huh? What do you mean, pal? By examining the fingerprints, you can determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand? Oh, is that what you meant? Well, we didn't actually think of that. Dude, I can't believe the bumbling of this department. Hopeless? Were you paying attention to the testimony, right? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There is no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of the murder. So is the defendant the owner of this knife then? The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes it a premeditated murder. It says that it has a hotel name on it. There's no way this was a premeditated murder, even if he bought the knife. Sorry, pal, this isn't some pocket knife. It doesn't fold, so it's not great for walking around with either. Well, this is not good. If the prosecution can prove it was a premeditated murder, we're done for. Phoenix. Yes? There's something very interesting about what the detective said just now. Think carefully, before it's too late. A button covered in the victim's blood, and a knife with Engrad's fingerprints. Be grateful. If the judge were more rash, he would have already pounded his gavel in closing. We're still in a world of trouble. Well, before any battle, you must find your enemy's weakness. So let's find the weakness in this testimony, no matter how small it may be, okay, Phoenix? Okay, we're gonna have a look at our evidence, because this is the moment where stopping between the investigation and the trial is really not going well for me, because I do not remember anything we found in the investigation. So we have the Nickel Samurai picture. Tabloid article. Hunter crime scene. Yeah. My thing is, oh yeah, there was also this whole thing about how his old manager was her mentor, and she died, and then she tried to kill herself. The thing was, because this has a Gatewater engraved, I'm assuming it's not pre-bought. Could that be what I need to present here? Because, yes, it's not a flick knife, but it is just a knife from the hotel they were in. Like, it was just a knife from the food. So I'm gonna present the knife. I think that is what we're trying to get at. The fact that it's not... He didn't buy the knife. It has Gatewater on it. Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument is that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand. That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Exactly. Huh? Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh? It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. It was the bloody hotel this was all happening at. That's the name of the hotel. The Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. That is a very big... Ha, ha, ha. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There is no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realize this. But I didn't... Oh, poor Gumshoe. I know that he's bad at his job, but I feel so bad for him right now. The question is, he does not need all this extra punching. Where did this knife come from? Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corrider's room. Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table. A knife. There is a knife and a fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt and Guard. Yeah, they were missing a knife. Especially what was on top of his table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife? We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Medangard's knife was missing. Exactly, it was a knife he used to eat with. If I get the next bit wrong, I get a game over. Thank you for that terrifying thought. Okay, we need to pay attention very well. Mr. Ungard had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. But not by Mr. Ungard. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. It seems like Edgeworth had this plan from the very beginning. This must be one of those chaps, and I just walked headlong into it. A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There is quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that any further deliberations is a waste of Your Honor's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown? He means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. Thank you for repeating that 3 times. What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright? Well, Phoenix. The judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will be ringing out the sound of our defeat. Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court? Well, do I? You love the smug face, that's fair. No, they've all seen this. Like, I want to guess that we have to show something, but I don't know what. Like, I don't know what we'd have to... I don't know. I don't know. I'm too afraid of getting it wrong now. I feel like if I don't show anything, I will have definitely lost, but I don't know what I need to show. Like, I feel like everything we have is somewhat important and necessary. Just don't know what is important and necessary right now. It's anguish face more, that is fair. What was the state of the room in? It was very... So, my think, so like I can think of a lot of ways why this is not a closed and shut case. Because, one, anybody could have taken that knife and stabbed him with it. Anybody could have then taken... Well, especially if we're going with the idea that it is... what's-her-face? Andrews. Andrews. Something Andrews. I think Andrews. It is a mess, yeah. So, if this was a So, like... If you were to go with your knife, why would you then suddenly switch to using their scarf to murder them if you were planning to do it with the knife? So the knife was definitely coming as a way to frame him. The button thing is if you were to then take the button and, like, why would the button have come loose when the whole thing was that he was strangled? Although the thing with the strangulation is that would then explain the mess. But only, like, that corner was a mess. I think the rest of the room was fine, but I don't know about that. Do I present the state of the room? But they've already looked at the room, haven't they? So, like, could it be the fact that the glass is still up there? Although, what is that trying? Like, what is the glass proof of? Ah. Because we're trying to prove that it's not... Are we trying to prove that it wasn't him yet? Or are we still trying to prove that it wasn't a premeditated murder? Because it was premeditated, just not by him. In a way. Because somebody premeditated trying to frame him. I think. Oh god, I'm talking my way through this, but I can't figure out... Yeah, someone put the glass down after the murder, definitely. What is the contradiction apart from that? Like, the mess makes sense if he was trying to... Like, the mess makes sense if the strangulation happened. But then why would he sit so nicely? That is fair, Turtles. You know just as much as I do, basically. Which is helpful. Because, like, if he got attacked... So I do definitely need to show something. But the glass is not broken, exactly. So do I present the glass? Because that is new information. Actually, I do. I'm just gonna go. There's one. One piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see. Mr. Wright. I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I'm giving you one chance, and only one. What the judge is saying, right, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. Oh god, I can now see how, yeah. You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence that you must show to the court? I think it's the glass. This is a wine glass, is it not? Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser. Well yes, I see your point. It is very threatening to see that thing flash. However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is his wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say? Ah, well, yes. It is a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? Though I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with this puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth. What is it, Your Honor? Your opinion. You don't need my opinion. Because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. That does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright. Why was she holding the glass? Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? There's no way. If I appear weak here, the trial's over. I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. Oh god. They just might fall for it if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table. You've turned the situation on its hat yet again, as usual. Mr. Edgworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim? There's no way he has any, he's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, right? Did you think this wineglass escaped my notice? Ben? Of course it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. Fingerprints? There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wineglass. Only one. Well, whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were of one Adrian Andrews. Then the question should be, what was she doing there? What? Wineglass updated in the court records. That is why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? I can't believe it fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corda. Then why is the bottle on the floor? But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser. I would have dropped the thing then, though. Like, if you walk into a room and see a dead body, and wouldn't you drop the glass, if anything? What you just said makes a lot of sense. But then why is the tomato juice bottle there? Now, do you see right? You can't change any part of my scenario as it explains everything all too well. I think I've tried it, but a long time ago. I don't think it's for me. I thought it's just like, why don't you just then make it into soup or something? Anyway, I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Agreed. At least we didn't have to break Gumshoe. The poor dude. Oh, what's she doing here? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Ha! Gotcha! I like that she exasperates Edgeworth just as much as she does. Yeah, that's gazpacho, exactly. Like, what is the difference between tomato sauce, tomato juice, and gazpacho? Except for, like, some seasoning. I might sound very... I just don't know. I like gazpacho, though. I just don't see tomato juice as, like, something different. Anyway, sorry. I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier. Yeah, we know her. Oh, edgy boy! It's been, what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under that helmet, it was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand. That is good. The Wicked Witch of the witness stand is good. I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. Oh! Turtles, were you here last stream? Is that why you're fully out of it? I don't remember. Because she is from a previous case. And she is back. She's the one that talks so fast I can't read it on time. Is that why you're so lost? Just throw some water. Edgeworth is instantly regretting coming back. Yeah, no, okay, that explains a lot. Sorry, Turtles, forgot about that. Oh, then you fully missed a complete setup of this of this case. That explains why you're so confused. I thought I was mainly the confused one usually. That makes sense. Very short, Maya got kidnapped and the kidnapper is threatening her and we need to get the dude that we're currently defending scot-free so we can get Maya back. And the person currently channeling Mia is Pearl. Sorry, I thought you asked what you missed at the start of the stream. I didn't realize thought you asked what you missed in the previous stream. And yeah, no, that's the main part. And she is back. She is the old security guard from the TV studio. So yeah, that's what happened previously, and then we just walked around mainly, trying to get everybody to tell us stuff. I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do, so today I'm going to tell you anything and everything. Even things that don't have to do with that terrible crime. Oh honey, Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know. She's a little bit TV obsessed. Shush, I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgie right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps. Yes, madam. No, please, by all means interrupt her, please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please. It is a mess. It's true that they say that youth are hot-headed nowadays, not that I mind it all edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag? It was a great job being able to see my dearie Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle. You mean you were a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that on guard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me, I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corrida. Pretty sure they're pretty much the same age. Aren't they? Please tell me. 21. 21. Yeah, no, they're the same age. But those two were the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night. Very well, please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder. Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. What you witnessed. They are so young, yeah. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know, aka she was trying to find the gossip. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was Engard, Matt Engard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. So Mr. Engard came out of the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He's the murderer. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace. There's a difference between fangirling and obsessing. Like, stalkery obsessing, considering she took a security detail and instead of doing her security detail, she decided to walk around outside his room. I feel like that is a step too far. Miss Oldbag, what was your post down that night? The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that trifling show. Case in point, she didn't do her bloody job. But I refused to help, I'll have you know, it was that lead-headed samurai show. Ha, I even took out a few of the nails. Security detail was trying to undermine security. Okay. Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on. Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little. And that's when you went to hang around the victim's door? There was something I was interested in finding out, you know? Something you were interested in. And just what was that? It's not some little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know? It's top secret between me and Juan. Ah, and Edgy Poo, of course. Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to your testimony later. It looks like we shouldn't force it right now. And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. You were on the job, but not on the job you were supposed to be doing. This woman. Oh, and then would you tell us a number of people who went in and out of Mr. Corrida's room? I have no idea. Dude! I wasn't born, so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am. Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report. In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct? So she only saw, very selectively, Edgworth. Edgworth, not and guard coming out of the room, not counting anybody else. Yeah, everyone is either very old or very young. You know, the middle is just not interesting. Who in the world was that? I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of Juan's room, he was. I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud. Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Francisca whipped right now. Well, I guess I can tell you since he was such a bad boy anyway. No people above like 25. 25. We've had barely people like in the upper 20s, let alone in the 30s. It was on guard. Mad on guard. He was trying to... Okay, I now need to prove a point with this. 18, 8, 31. Gumshoe is 31. 18, 25. There we go. 24, 23, 21, 21. Unknown, 23. Well, she was dead. Anyway. We have had one person over... How old is Phoenix? I'm assuming also 25, since he's supposed to be like the same age as Edgeworth. Gumshoe's the only one like over 25, under 60. It was on guard, Mad on guard. He was trying to sneak his way. Also, talking of ages, sorry, I know I'm distracting. She killed herself 2 years ago and Adrian was only 21, and she was her manager, she was Andrew's manager, mentor, bloody hell. So how long has she been a manager or something like it to have had a mentor long enough to get a close bond with, that when she killed herself when she was 21, she cared enough to also try and kill herself? So like, that is a very long, like a very deep bond in such a short time. It gets more reasonable during the later games. Okay, we're gonna get some oldies, aka 35-year-olds. Yeah, so yeah, Phoenix is supposed to also be 25. Okay, let's press this one. Let's not get distracted. You saw my client. Are you sure about that? Yes, say. Really? Annoying Brett. When I say I saw someone, I saw that person. Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. I feel like... I'm gonna say that she didn't see the face. Because we know it shouldn't be. But the person's clothes is not like... Did we go with the face? Please tell the court about the man's face in more detail. You don't need me to tell you about his face. That soft, gentle look in his eyes and his effeminate lips. His right eye covered by his silky hair. His sparkling, shining teeth. His teeth were shining? Well, he's shining all around in this week's pinup poster, dearie. This week's pinup? Why do you... I mean, I don't care how he looks in this week's issue. Please stay with Please stay with what you saw that night. What? Unguard's face is the same no matter where it is, you know, you whippersnapper. So, Mr. Wright. Was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? Oh god. This is that moment where this game just gets me because I don't want to do it wrong. I care too much. And I know I care too much. So I'm like, I don't want to do it wrong. Because I want to continue the story and not get annoyed. But I don't know what's the right answer. Because I can either dig further. By going, this is why I did it and all of that kind of stuff. Or I can back off and try a different tack. But then that also... You know what, we're gonna go with it's very important. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Ooh. Oh god, then perhaps you would like to point out what part of the testimony was important. You don't really have to put it that way to get me to say, Mr. Wright, there is something much more valuable than a person's pride. And that is time. I am so sorry. Please don't waste this court's precious time with worthless questions. I should have said no. Yeah. Yes, Your Honor. I think I just wasted his good favor. She may not remember things, or be mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. That's bad for us. Really bad. But that's how the human mind is. It also has a tendency to jump off topic. She's strayed onto a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? But that's what makes her a sweet old lady, right? That's because you're not the one who has to question her. Anyway, after the ceremony... Okay. I'm trying to... Okay, we're gonna try again with one of the other ones. Because it's definitely this one that we're trying to push. Yeah, also, yeah, sweet. Do we want to ask about the clothes? Because that is like... One of the points is that they found the button in his hakama? Oh god. In his outfit. So could it be that he was wearing something different? Could that be like the thing here? Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome man you are, really. As if something like that matters. But it does. Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing. That racing jacket. Haha. Ah, he was wearing that at the detention center too. Ooh, that thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Man. Right. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? Yes. It was very important. There we go. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important? Don't you see it, Edgworth? Your Honor, I request what the witness said about the jacket to append to her testimony. I don't quite see where you're going with this, but alright, witness please. Oh well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must. He was wearing his flashy jacket, racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just for show. The button, because the button was hakama, there we go. So if he wasn't wearing the hakama, it couldn't have been him. Ish, if that makes sense. At least it shows they're not connected. Miss Oldbag. What? Don't say my name for no reason. I got excited. I got way too excited. Do you know what this is? Ah, it's button number 2 in Gemma Ninja's costume. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Give it here, give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this. Wow, she really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Unguard's body during a full body search. See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Unguard. It was caught up in the pleats of his nickel samurai hakama pants. See? And Unguard is a nickel samurai. Witness. Now it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Unguard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? Ah, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. If I wore the trendiest dress and then maybe... Oh god. Woman... Woman, stop talking. She's just ranting about clothes now. I'm not reading it all. Now, hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Unguard the man. But Mr. On Guard, the Nickel Samurai? But when you think about it, there's a mask involved there. They're really one and the same anyway. Also, the thing she said about him being like shiny. Again, mask. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. Alright, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. Who I saw. Okay. We're gonna prove that it was somebody else in Steel Samurai outfit. There we go. On guard. On guard. Yes, now I remember. The Nickel Samurai. That's right, it was the Nickel Samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn that Nickel Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things. We're going back to this. But the possibility does exist. It is. I agree with that. Ah, young uns today. I told you there's no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Because I said so. And what I say is the truth. Oh, that's not how it works. At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Time to press everything. Would you please get on with your testimony? What's your language, young man? What sort of tone is that to take with an elder? My youthfulness isn't what it used to be, so you should forgive me for everything. Dude, if you keep on barking at me like that, I'll start singing at the top of my lungs. What? A striking figure by the sea, standing all alone is he. He's the Nickel Samurai. She's actually singing. Someone help my poor ears. Mr. Edgeworth, can you please do something about this racket? Witness, I'll give you a piece of gum later if you'll be good and stick to just the facts. Okay, you promise, right? Right. I'll be sending the bill for the chewing gum to your office at a later date. Remind me to send you a thank you note later too, Edgeworth, old chum. The Nickel Samurai, that's right, it was a Nickel Samurai that I saw. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not? Not too long ago? Then let me ask you this. When you were itty-bitty, what was your grand dream? Huh? What did you want to be when you grew up? Whippersnapper? My dream, huh? Well, I wanted to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public's court. So what? See? And look at where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you? Well, nope. What I said earlier. Who puts any weight into things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. The past was 10 minutes ago. In a court where you were lying. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies? Case in point. All that matters is that man was inside the costume. Isn't that enough? You don't know who was inside the costume, woman. And why would that be? That way, no one could see his face, of course. But there's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you would think the costume would make him stand out all the more. You are such an annoying child. You know that? You disagree with everything I say. Yes. Isn't that what you're always doing to me? I got it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of his costume. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know? Was there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show? Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gesture thing. And that included the Jammy Ninja? Of course, it included him. That's why when a guard came out of dear Juan's room, I didn't give it a second thought. I see. Well, anyway. So he must have worn that Nickel Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We're gonna have a look. As the Nickel Samurai, he is wearing gloves. So how in the hell would he have put his fingerprints on the knife if he used the Nickel Samurai costume to murder him? Let's first press, but I think I need to present the knife. So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it really was the Nickel Samurai? As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning? Can I throw in a towel yet? I was feeling very smart for a second. You don't need to think too hard on this one, huh? There's a contradiction in her testimony and it's sitting in plain sight. I found it. The question is what that contradiction means for us. Well, I have to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay. Okay. So, if do I present the knife or the picture of the Nickel Samurai? I'm gonna say the knife, because that's where the fingerprints supposedly are. And she has mentioned the Nickel Samurai, so that would be the combo. Because, like, showing the picture to her saying that she wore the costume makes no sense. Yeah, we're gonna present the knife. Please take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct? Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? You don't even have to ask, it's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it. Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at. What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving? Priorities! If Mr. Unveiled was really in a Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife right off. Ooh, that's right. The Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his glove off before he began the stabbing. Why would he take just his bloody glove off? To purposely leave fingerprints? And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? I love it when I agree with Phoenix. There is no way he would do something like that. However, there's one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as the Nickel Samurai. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. But then why did he bring his knife? He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off. But the murder still did take place. It's well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim. Yes, I have heard that before. Are we gonna have to prove the contradiction in this logic of he brought his own knife, but not to murder? Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory? So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Then why did he bring the knife? I agree with that statement, Turtles. I feel like we're slightly distracted, though. There is a contradiction. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Unveiled was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. Do I present the knife again? Are we going back to the knife every bloody time? This knife. This was used by Mr. Unveiled at dinner. Yes, we did establish that. Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Corrida, I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprint shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order! Order, I say. Order in the court. Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? To frame Matt. It's to frame my client, Mr. Unguard, of course. He didn't hide the murder, the way of murder, because that's still found. To frame. Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? But we just established that the witness saw the nickel samurai in costume, and if that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Witness! What are we doing all this time? Finding answers and not kissing Phoenix. Sounds about right. Looks like I've made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, Edgy Poo? You make everybody's life more difficult, honey. Witness, did you or did you not really see the nickel samurai? Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but are you saying you mixed up Mr. Unguard with the nickel samurai, his character on TV? But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the nickel samurai, that's for sure. He has not kissed his poor Phoenix in a year. He is out of like practice of everything. She wasn't waiting for the nickel samurai. Alright then. Who were you waiting around for then? That's top secret to anyone outside of security. I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Corrida. Am I correct, witness? Ha ha ha. The way you think, you are a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I, an amateur of? So Oldback was waiting around in front of the victim's room. But it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corrida. Maybe, Phoenix, maybe the Oldback was waiting around for that person. She was waiting around for Adrian because of the whole scandal of them dating. If it's who I think Mia's hinting at, it's certainly possible. Miss Oldbag? You were waiting for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? Who is this person? This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. Unguard's manager. But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room? It seems that this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor. Oh, this is... Ha, I see. The judge seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing. Then this manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's Adrian Andrews? Without a doubt, the witness thought so as well. Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff then. Witness? What in the world are you? Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I got some information, some very secret information from a certain source. So that's why I was doing my own little investigation. In secret, of course. But what for? Oh, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here? I really don't want to do this, however, I cannot simply let this point slide. I see. Very well then. Witness, please testify about this secret information. Get ready. This is going to take the wind out of you young'uns. I'm sure we're all capable of handling this. Really, it's not like we're 10 years old. That Unguard is one evil, evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. Oh, and this is top secret, you got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet. What? The defendant sent his manager. What a distasteful topic for this court. What? Nobody's above gossip. And isn't there a saying, the truth is never pleasant? Never heard that one before. Mr. Edgeworth, what about this Adrian Andrews person? We have looked into this matter, and found that the truth the article proposes is in fact baseless gossip. But should this be true? Then this proves that the defendant did bear ill will towards the victim. So this means I have to smash this rumor once and for all. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Be careful, the old bag seems rather excited right now. That's right, Unguard is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth. Well, as the old saying goes, you've gotta burn old bags with fire. Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone. What? That Unguard is one evil, evil man. You can't say something like that without proof. That's just slander. But it's true. That woman was getting intimate with poor Juan. Look, it says so right here, doesn't it? Manager to the stars, Miss AA. But the name of the magazine this came from is Gossipland. What? Are you saying that gossip is all just a pack of flies? What do you know? I suppose next you'll swear to me that news is 100% truth. Honestly, Sonny, you can't discriminate between the news and gossip. Yes, discrimination is bad, Mr. Wright. Discriminate? When did I do anything like that? Anyway, Unguard will never get me to say touché. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. A scandal? What do you mean by that? You're a dim-witted one, aren't you? I can't believe you don't know what a scandal is. Honestly, what are they teaching kids in middle school these days? No. I wasn't asking what the word scandal means. Even I know that much. Well, that Unguard thought he could own a monopoly on popularity? That is never a possibility. As in, even if somebody else turns up, like, people don't all like the same thing. Just because you're the only option doesn't mean you will be popular with everybody. You don't have any proof that Mr. Unguard did such a thing. You mustn't be suffering. You must be suffering from shock. The shock of hearing the truth. And now, since you're in so much shock, you can't do anything right. You're right. I can't do anything. But boy, do I wish I could do something about you. Alright then, Sonny, show me what you've got. Can you show me proof that Unguard didn't bear any ill will towards Juan? I don't have direct proof of that, do I? I don't have anything to offer. See? Just as I thought. And you were lecturing me about saying things without proof. You've just given me a free pass to say whatever I want whenever I want, silly boy. Me and my big mouth. That's the way the cookie crumbles. For you, anyway. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. So, what do you mean by I took action? Like I already told you, I was lying in wait close to the crime scene. Once that slimy one came out of Juan's room, I was going to capture her and teach her a good lesson. Something you young'uns need. You were going to teach her a good lesson? I was going to make her eat the damaging beams of my ray gun. Like this. No, stop! Well, it was too bad that woman didn't come through the door that night. She is unpleasant. Oh, and this is top secret, you got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet. Wait. What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over. Secret information that no one else knows yet? If that's true, then how do you know this secret information? Huh? Well, that's because I'm a pro. Yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drilled a hole into my brain, you'll never find out. How in the world did that old bat get such a secret piece of information? How did she get that information? Because she has like... Do we have the camera back yet, or just the case? Because this, like, article... happened before, right? Yeah, this article happened before? Did she take the camera? Did she, because the camera was gone. So who else would have taken that? So no one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Oldbag? Why are you looking at me like that? Stop that. Witness? I hate to say it, but this is how you came to acquire your secret info, isn't it? Did she get it for the camera? The investigative photographer. I could not talk there for a second. Lotta Hart. Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl. She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself. She reported such a thing. On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews. What? Outrageous ideas, you say? No, I said impressions. Then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless? Yes, there we go. I knew that there was something to do with Lotta's camera. Ah, that's it. That's the note. No, you see, this is something completely different. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy. Then you are the one who took Miss Hart's note. I'm a huge fan of Juan's, that's why. That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper, she's working with that evil on guard. She said so herself. On guard, I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Edgy Poo, you believe me, don't you? I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before. You really should come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine. Well, it was only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just once. She looks like she's really sorry. Should I forgive her? No, we're not forgiving her. I don't like her. If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to the prosecution. Witness, you said that the only thing you stole was that note. Is this correct? Stole? What do you listen? Why don't you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible lonely trash can, that's all. You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it. Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again? Miss Oldbag, I don't believe that the note is the only thing you stole that night. She stole the camera as well, didn't she? Miss Oldbag, that note was within a camera inside this case, wasn't it? A camera? Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over a camera. She kept saying something like, my sweetie, $1,600 camera disappeared on me. Why? Witness! What is it, Gramps? If you have the note, then it is only logical that you have the camera too. No, she didn't steal the guitar, because the guitar was left at the TV studio. We know that. Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera you're looking for? That's... What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know? I still eat meals like you. I fall in love and borrow things from people. I think your definition of borrow is a little off. I saw that woman's business card and that's when I noticed it said, Slimebag Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire. Well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of picture she had taken. Same. I don't like the bar. The bar flashing just makes me so nervous. I'm a professional security guard. It's my business to know these things. Again, you didn't actually do the correct... You didn't actually do your job again. You didn't do the one you were told to do. Check this camera's photos, hurry. We must examine them at once. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have? There is only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case. Please present it to the court. This is the Nickel Samurai. See, I told you that's the guy I saw. This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. Okay, but what does all this mean, Mr. Edgeworth? Okay, we're gonna have a look at that picture just because... We have the samurai indeed wearing his gloves and everything. I'm just having a look. Like, there's definitely going to be something wrong with this picture. Something that's going to prove that this is not on guard in the samurai suit. But somebody trying to frame him. They have the arm on the other side. Fair. Ooh. Okay, give me a sec. I have a thought. I have a thought. Is this person... Look at the bottom of the trousers. The trousers are too long. Exactly! Thank you, Turtles. I'm not the only one. That's what we're gonna go for, probably. What does all this mean, Miss Edgeworth? This photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Ungard clearly stated that at the time of the murder, he was still in his nickel samurai costume. If that is the case, then this nickel samurai is... the defendant. Yeah, we saw the same thing. How did it come to this? I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright? The court will consider them before we close. Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client? No, we do not. If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. But if it raises an objection here and blow it, then I would put Maya's life in jeopardy. I can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. Find the discrepancy. This photo that Lotta took, there's something strange with it. There's something strange with this photo. It's just high fashion. I knew this was coming, right? Your thoughts, Miss Edgeworth? I think we can all agree here is nothing strange with this photo. There's no way for the defense to debunk this photo, even with a bunker buster. Well, about that. Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright? Anyway, please look at the photo one more time. If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct? Well, I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can't let this chance go by. I found it already. Where in the heck did she take this photo from anyway? It's all out of focus. Why can't she take a good shot, especially when it counts? Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange? The trousers. I would like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here. What are you pointing to? His ankles? If you could see this person's ankles, that would be one thing. However, you can't. And what does that mean? The costumed person in this photo could not have been Mr. Ungard. What is the meaning of this? I wonder if you would care to elaborate, with actual facts, that is. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama. His socks, you can see his socks. Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his hakama up, just to walk. There is only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Alright, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. Huh? What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. He's just letting the trial run itself as if he's only along for the ride. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack? Then I haven't damaged his case at all. Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not mad on guard, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless. I figured it would come to this. What? Right, I have something I want to ask you. Their love language is bickering. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not man on guard. In that case, who is this a photo of? I'm gonna say Adrian Andrews. Who is the person wearing the nickel samurai costume? Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Yeah, why is he so calm? Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts. Who is the person in this photograph? It's gonna be Adrian Andrews. Adrian Andrews? If you want to know who that nickel samurai is, it is none other than this woman. And why would you say it must be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her? For starters, she's short. And she can freely move in and out of Mr. Angard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Angard that night. And how does that all add up? It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Angard's fingerprints all over it. The knife that was used as a murder weapon? Why don't you just say what it is you want, right? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defense moves to indict Mr. Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Corrida. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime. Order, order, order! It looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. This court is issuing a subpoena... I know that word, I just don't know how to say it. For Miss Adrian Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony. Alright, this is it. This is kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means that the trial will go on for another day. One more day? If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya... Now then, we shall set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow. What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court. How can I make this stop? I'm gonna go with raise an objection. We need that today. Now then. Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today. I can't do that. We cannot hear Miss Andrews' testimony if she is not... I am also stressed. I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial. But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development. Unexpected development. I think you underestimate me, Your Honor. And what do you mean by that? That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Andrews' all. Happening according to plan, even if Miss Wright was a bit slow to catch on. What? What? It doesn't matter, don't worry, thank you. What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution's lobby. She is the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man. Somehow, I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over. It does feel like he's helping. Exactly. It feels like he's helping, but I don't know... Very well, we will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will now take a 10-minute recess. Bloody hell. That was a busy first half of this trial. Yes, I would like to save my progress. The thing is, it does not say final day or anything like that. So, is there going to be a second day? I feel like there's definitely going to be more like secrets to unfold or anything or something like that. Let's go. March 22. District Court Defense Lobby 3. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian. No way. Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She is your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner as well was her. So after the ceremony, during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See, she could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up? Then, dude, you're saying it really was her? Yes, she is the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Corrida. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix, you think her motive is related to Celeste Impax's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impax as her strength and reason to live. But then Miss Impax suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note, and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impax. It was Edgworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down, yeah. Okay then. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by his court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. Was that her in that card? What is your occupation? I am the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Engard. I see. Now then, before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure, what is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing. And would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corrida. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was a fry and bait matter, or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. And there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Then why didn't you drink the juice? You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes, sadly I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime. She is pretty. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that's when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix, she is one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontation. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking, so you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant this trial is over. Understand? Okay. We're gonna press everything again. And what was Mr. Angard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mini performance at the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. Angard did say he was taking a nap. Then I guess you could say he could not have been taken out of this room, yes? Excuse me, what are you? Right, I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Angard's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object. Right? Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. After that, I went to Juan's room. And why did you do that? As a friendly gesture, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon, what are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had more personal matter to discuss with the victim. Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at the time. I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? And there was his dead body. I was in shock. You were in shock. What? Was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Corda. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. And you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. I see. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then, what did you do next? Witness. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Juice? Yes, there was a bowl of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. Sorry, give me a sec. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Corrida, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank? I don't think that was possible for you. I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude, Teray? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Press further. We need to be on the attack at all times. Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? Wait. So... I saw something. Give me a sec. If she accidentally knocked the flower vase open, why is the outside of the guitar case wet instead of the inside? Because she says the guitar case was already open. Right? So if she knocked it over, why is the guitar case wet? Let's push on that, shall we? This mess of glass shards. It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry, I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume the face was just another part of the mess. It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. Yeah, I don't believe that. I was the one who knocked the flower vase over where it fell onto the guitar case. I'm gonna present the fact that the picture shows that the guitar case is open. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem, it's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. That's very true. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. And what is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shard should be inside, not outside the case. Ah. What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No, think back to what Miss Andrew testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be, however, what was in the guitar case if it wasn't the guitar? Could there have been something else in there? The empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? It seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? Yeah, we want to know more, because there could be something in there that she wanted. The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll follow along, for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about your guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. There must have been something in the guitar case. It looks like this really wasn't a very important point. The wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. I'm trying to remember. We used the card last time to open somebody's locks, like mental locks. I just don't remember what for. Anyways, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using anyway to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see... Are you sure you are the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependent side is taking over. Well, Miss Andrews, yes, it was me. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. So you opened the guitar case then? Yes, well, maybe. Why did you open a guitar case? Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out something about this guitar case. If she opened the guitar case... Yeah. So it has only his fingerprints, not hers. But she did leave her fingerprints on the wine glass. So how did she open the guitar case without leaving her fingerprints? Why did you open a guitar case? Huh? Mr. Corder's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case. As the witness has said multiple times when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. She didn't know that though. Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. The trials would not be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright. Sorry. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try. She's at the weakest now, so this is our chance. I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record waiting to be found. The fact that her fingerprints aren't on there. I'm gonna present it to this one. There is no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. Ah. What is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left fingerprints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I am almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. That's strange, because she left her fingerprints on the bloody glass of juice. You were wearing gloves? Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? Yes, I do. It's called a glass of juice. I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Ah. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Ooh. We broke our glasses. So, my guess is she went in earlier, killed the dude, accidentally hit the vase over while doing it, while dressed as the Steel Samurai who has gloves, opened the guitar case at that point, took out whatever was in there, and then went back, and when she went back she did the whole getting a juice thing. But that was in her normal outfit without gloves, so I think that's my logic. And she's like trying to conflate them into one moment to make it seem like she was only there when she found him. I think that is my current belief. My current theory. Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. Huh? What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty though. There we go. But the guitar, the bright red guitar, was at the studio. But there could be something else inside. Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar. Wait, that's not right either. But that's just a theory, exactly. I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. It's my current theory. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case... Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us in all into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I am sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, right, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please enlighten us as to why the guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing. You don't mean to suggest that a bright black... So, you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty, is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours, you haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? This was a picture taken away right after the murder. Could it be on here? Is this samurai holding something? Or could he be holding something? I feel like this picture is gonna have to be the one that I use. I just don't know what would be in the case, but I know that the samurai could have opened the case. So I'm just gonna present this and hope for the best, because I don't think anything else we have could be inside the case. This is a photograph. Yeah, it's because she used... We are saying she used the Nickel Samurai costume to murder him. I'm gonna guess that in the case is the suicide note. Or was the suicide note. But I don't think using that case for the suicide note is correct. This is a photograph. Yes, but what is important is that in this picture, Your Honor, in this picture, it doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... I'm so confused. I think I'm hoping the picture is correct, just because I don't think... There's some lag, yeah. She is here because we're trying to prove that she murdered him because he has the suicide note. So my guess is that the suicide note was in the briefcase. And I'm hoping that somewhere in this picture I just presented is the suicide note. That is my guess. Because I don't think showing the court record with the suicide note is what we're going for. Although that could have also been an option. Maybe I fucked up. Maybe I fucked up. We'll see. It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I am proposing is... Inside the guitar case was a Nickel Samurai. The hero's very own costume. What? That was not what I was going for, but okay. What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. I thought she would have, like, put the costume on in the Nickel Samurai's room and walked back and forth. Like, how did nobody see her walk into that room in the first place? Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. Or was she just in there waiting for them to come back from, like, the show? After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. In the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? I don't know what's going on. I've lost the plot now. It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. Yes, I thought, and then I thought wrong. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume? I'm so confused. Wait, 1 second, Your Honor. The nickel samurai costume would have been Mr. Metz and guard. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case, of all places? True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this nickel samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? Angard was still wearing his costume, so this must have been a spare one. I'm gonna go with it's a spare costume. Mr. Angard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we are talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 nickel samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I am saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. But why? But why? The victim, Mr. Korda, was the Jamin ninja. Why would he secretly bring the nickel samurai's spare costume with him? What could the reason behind such a peculiar act? And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? I'm having an inner monologue and it disagrees with the outer monologue, to be honest. No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the nickel samurai's spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? No. Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. So, I am parroting the judge. So my logic for choosing the picture was a very different logic for the game for choosing the picture, but I wasn't wrong. I just now don't know why I am right. This is interesting. Alright, this is what I think. I don't know what I think. The reason the victim brought the nickel samurai's spare costume to the hotel was... It's the victim that brought it. Could this be the reason? This is the only thing we haven't used yet. And my logic for using it now is that Matt, on guard, Mr. On Guard, did not know anything about this post-ceremony state, this confession he was gonna make. He himself did not know that, if I remember correctly, because that was something I remembered going, that's weird. So maybe the victim was supposed to do this press conference? I'm hoping this is correct. The thing is, I was very confused about this, so I'm just gonna go with, this is basically the only thing we haven't properly used yet. What is this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Angard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. Exactly, I remember this. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was set up. by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim? Yes. The spare nickel samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the nickel samurai. He was going to dress up as the nickel samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing? Good question. That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The nickel samurai was going to confess something? And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself? Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the nickel samurai, was going to speak about Med on Guard. Yes, I guess that is what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Miss Andrews, I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Because she is the manager, she knew about that press conference. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him. That was also me. Of course that was also her, because then she could use it to kill him. You? Juan had bet everything on a gemming ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin him? Huh. Why would she help? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? Matt did not know about this though, so this can't be a murder reason for Matt. And do you know what this secret of Miss on Guard is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. Yes, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. But protect Mr. on Guard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light. It seems. Miss Andrews, if you could please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. For the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Okay. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. That still doesn't explain why the person walking out of the victim's room in the Steel Samurai outfit... Huh? Does it though? This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She is more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. Yeah. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. The thing of this is, if that we proved that there is a reasonable doubt as to why there's fingerprints on, like, this doesn't negate the whole thing about the bringing of the knife and the trying to frame him. Yes, it might not be her, don't believe that, but that still makes it that somebody has been trying to frame Matt, not that Matt actually did it. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Time to press everything again. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit a crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember. May I continue now? Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. Don't believe that. So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt Angard. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. So, this is also a thing that I'm currently confused about. If she was trying to protect Matt after the fact of the murder, why was she trying to protect Matt by not helping with setting up the bloody conference? Like, if she helped to set up the conference, that was not protecting Matt. And then she's now trying to make it that she was protecting Matt by trying to get him out of the murder charge. But then, is she or is she not trying to protect Matt? Literally, I'm so confused. But I'm sure Mr. Angard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Exactly. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree, Miss Andrew. Please correct your testimony, if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. Has Mr. Angard done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Corda with his press conference, and that event was supposed to bring down Mr. Angard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. Angard, right? What the witness was thinking helping the victim with his plan is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. Angard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie she could cover for Mr. Angard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with that, Miss Andrews has said. I can! I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim in his murder fought, and during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammy Ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? Wait. If the button came off during the fight, then he couldn't have had blood on it. Because during the fight, he was trying to strangle. He was first strangled and then knifed. So the button would not have blood on it because strangulation doesn't have blood. That button was found in the pleats of Matt Sakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt. And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads on the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit perfectly together. Or so I heard. I've heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such fine detail? Don't look at me like that, just because I'm prepared and you are not. And I thought I had her this time, for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on it, it has to be here. But where and what? I'm gonna present the button. Can I present the button to this one? Is that the one I need to? I'm gonna present the button to this one, because this is the one that it contradicts. Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement? I'm not sure I follow you. It clearly contradicts the, I thought... You don't sound very sure, Mr. Wright. Objection denied. Oh, do I need to do the autopsy? Is that what I need to show? Because Dude, that button was sort of... I need to show the autopsy, don't I? Because the autopsy is the one that contradicts what she says about the button. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means... it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Ah. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body. Order, order, what is the meaning? What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? That means it's trying to prove a point, not that it's an accident. Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? To pin the criminal on guard. There is only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard. There is no way anyone would put a bloodied button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. On Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is a real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. On Guard is... we're back to Adrian Andrews. Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you. You are Mr. Cordes' killer. That's why she was helping with that, like, with the conference, because she needed to get close to him and get him to have a extra outfit for her to hide in. What? Second glass is gone. Order, 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 Mr. Wright. This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. Well, how preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. On Guard naturally. The knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Third pair of glasses. Then, what about the button that was found in Matt's hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. On Guard was the real killer, there is no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own hakama. Fourth pair of glasses. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. On Guard's hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just a costume inside the guitar? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, So many spare glasses, yeah. But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case, and it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. 5 pairs. And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. Angarad. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? But please stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination, by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Angarad's room, Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood. Alright. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things looked bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix, but there is still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Miss Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? That is true. Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Miss Corrida? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. Smugness does look good on Edgy Boy. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid, definite proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there is only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter, and at tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. When we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. It isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... Huh? But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you? It's true Miss Andrew holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes? Death sentence mention, yeah. That is very true, but actually there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews. When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and? I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. Shaken, not stirred. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. Okay then. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. Okay. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired, looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. Again, back to... But the case was open. So you poured that glass a juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Friend or foe or a secret third thing. I love it. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. My thing is, how did she not see he was dead? He's literally got a knife sticking out of his chest. But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, there is a rhyme and reason for everything. Can you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you? In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely. I couldn't have said it better myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and I saw it in that messy state. So it was a mess. Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Corrida? That is too much. Even I agree with that. I understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory, however, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. Fair enough. And then, what did you see next, witness? And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. I want to have a look at the crime picture, because... How did she not see the knife sticking out of him? But, well... Slumped over. Yes, he was just sitting there, with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. So if she's close enough to see that he had his eyes closed, how was she not close enough to see that he had a bloody knife in his chest? Is it just me or did that right there sound a little odd? Why? Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix and then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. He had 2 beds. Why did he take a nap on a chair? Anyway, that's what I thought. I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all? To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so went to pour him some juice. You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first. But then the room was in such a messy state, I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone? And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice? Yes, he always has a hard time waking up. So Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. I see. And after that, what happened next? When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. Okay, I'm gonna present the picture here. Or this one? Just because of the knife. I feel like if she was... With this one. No, I'm gonna do it to this one. Because how did she not see the bloody knife? So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body. Ah. What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There is a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corda's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. That's, well, you see... I doubt as a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted, and then so nonchalantly go pour something a drink. Your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. And more glasses. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly. That you are the real killer. It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Ungard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt, I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify, and your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Madangard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found a truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually. Well, usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. That is true. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Madangard. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth? What are you... Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Madame Guard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. So she knows something that makes it so that it's definitely not Matt, but it's also not her? Could that be possible? Then who would it be then? Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the worlds of others. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Madame Guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, and is clinging on to them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? The thing of this is, at this point, Matt on guard will be acquitted whether she talks or not. As in, what she has to say obviously proves his innocence. But so far, she hasn't proven his guilt. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get our not guilty. That is my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help, please. Someone, help me. Oh, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? The court can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there, right? Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix, Wright? The thing of this, okay. We've basically gotten to the point where they're gonna call the not guilty. No matter if she talks or not. But I have a feeling, considering this is the final case, and this is only the first day of trials, there's gonna be more to this. Also, with the dude on the phone. So I'm gonna guess that making her testify will put somebody else to light? Or something like that? So maybe in forcing her to testify, she can, like, get us on the path towards who really did it? Because at this point, I don't believe she did it anymore. At least she tried to cover up for somebody else, maybe. I don't know. Or she tried to cover up and then tried to cover up by trying to pin it on Matt? Is that what she tried to do? But then who did do it? Because it's not Matt, and then it's not her. And yes, it will incriminate her in the act of, like, changing the murder scene. But the not guilty is the most important thing considering Maya. But at this point, the not guilty is a guaranteed. So I think making her testify will make it so that you then can get on to the next, like, person. Because there is going to be another day of stuff. Because this is only my second stream and this is the final case in the game. So this can't be a short one. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you are really hiding. Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing? Sure, Mr. Angard would get an acquittal, but in his place you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? But be quiet, how dare you? You're trying to trick me. That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth. You're wrong. What a shame. I had hoped this thing wouldn't come to this, however... What is it, Miss Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop! Mr. Edgeworth. This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop, please stop. No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. Ah, that's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I am about to do, don't you? You will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please, please stop, I beg you. If people find out, I'll... If you're going to say you would choose death, that is of no concern to me. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips. Oh, how nice of you, Edgeworth, no matter what I have to do. So will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do here, honey. Your dependent nature apparently depends on the wrong people. Nothing matters anymore. Her crime? What did she do? When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. Stab the body with the knife? But why would you do that? So she was the one trying to frame Matt just after the death. After the fact. Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man. What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but this is the truth. The real killer is Matt, the scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. So she thinks she has tried to pin the blame on the person actually done. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Oh, last time. So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with the knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. I think there's nothing wrong here. I'm gonna guess we still have to press, but I don't know what I'm looking for. I think this is right. But you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. But that scarf is a part of the Gemma Ninja's costume, so... Oh yeah, because she couldn't tell, because at the time the knife wasn't there, because that was her doing. So I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up, and then went to pour the juice. When I realized he was dead. So she did pour the juice for him. But that's... yeah, no, this makes more sense. What is this plan you had? Ooh, no, that's not. I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because Juan, he was going to expose Matt's weakness. Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. The thing is, if it was Matt, her forging... if she hadn't forged any evidence, maybe we would not have found it, but at least now he can go scot-free because all the evidence is not actual evidence, and they would have been looking for the actual evidence. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room, because that's the thing, where it's like... the only evidence they have against Matt is the knife and the button. And the fact that somebody saw the samurai, which is all things she did. That was so you could get the knife, correct? And the knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. She did a dumb thing, yeah. And then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. Angard's hakama. Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. People outside. An inconvenience? There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spiked it was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation of the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. That also makes sense. If she basically, none of this is to protect Matt. She thinks Matt did it. She's trying to get him, but that also now explains why she was like on Juan's side for the press conference. He was going to disclose Matt's big secrets there. And what is this secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in a Nickel Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Angard's room and planted the button. Into Matt's hakama, yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word, what does all this mean? This does mean we still don't know who actually did the murder. Yes, it could probably still be Matt, although I think that's highly unlikely considering everybody says he's been asleep the whole time, and also, apart from him being a little bit, like, airheaded, I don't think he is actually a bad guy. But then who did do it? That is the question. And also, who is trying to get us to get Matt off? I don't know. There's still so many unanswered questions. There's more streams to go in this, I think. Definitely. What does this all mean? Mr. Edgworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Angard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor set me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should under no circumstance confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer. I agree with that. I can accept that. Wait, Your Honor. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. Yeah, there was only really piece of evidence to point to her as the person trying to frame Matt. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. But... Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. But, Maya... I finally see his chair. Oh no. Today's trial, it's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth. What is it? Before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. Ooh. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there, right next to him. You found that card next to the victim's body? I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? You found it on the murder scene. Yeah, I guess not, but it's still a strange card, if you ask me. But as far as clue to this case, I don't see why. Witness, that card. Give it to me. Hurry. Edgworth? Do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This. I can't believe you hid this from me all this time. I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card. What in the world is it, and what does it mean? The mystery does continue. We don't know what happened to Maya, sorry. Oh, it's still the evening. The plot thickens. It definitely does. And I think that is a good point to end it for today. So, thank you for joining me today, because I've now streamed for nearly 3 hours, and I feel like if we jump into the next bit... if we jump into the next bit, we're gonna be here for another hour and a half, because that's how long these seem to be. So, on that note, the plot thickens, and thank you for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow at my normal streaming time with the continuation of Nancy Drew. And I will probably be doing a bonus stream on Wednesday this week. I know on Thursday I said Thursday, but I have other plans on Thursday, so I mean Wednesday. The plot chickens. I hadn't even read that. So yes, I'll be back tomorrow at my normal streaming time with more Nancy Drew. I'll probably be back on Wednesday, probably an hour earlier, with probably more Nancy Drew. I'm really enjoying the Nancy Drews right now. And I will hopefully be back again maybe sooner with Ace Attorney, but my weekend plans seem to fill up quite fast, so I'm gonna have to plan that at some point soon. Anyway, before I again forget the whole story, so yeah, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye. Bye chickens. Bye all the chickens in chat.